Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today we're going to be doing a video on Spellements. Now you guys probably should have seen this coming considering the fact that Spellements are a new feature that's kind of been revamped in the last little bit. You guys probably should have expected, yeah, Noah's going to do a video on Spellements in the near future. So today I wanted to go over, as promised, I did say I would do this within the last few weeks. I want to do a video on all the sources on how to get Spellements because obviously Spellements were completely revamped in terms of their actual effects, but that's not just what was revamped. Spellements were also completely revamped in terms of acquisition as well. Before, the only real ways to get Spellements were from packs and from random skeleton key bosses. This has been completely changed and completely shifted around. So that's pretty cool. If you want to know all the sources, this is the video for you. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, one thing I want to add, because I don't think it's actually added here, and I just want to kind of mention this in the video, and it's something that's very important to mention in the video, is that Loremaster has had a lot of Spellements that have been revamped completely. Certain spells have been added to Spellements, certain spells have been changed and tweaked a little bit, and certain spells that were not dropped originally by Loremaster now are dropped through the form of Spellements. If you don't know what I mean by this and you don't know why this is huge, Ship of Fools is now acquirable in a free-to-play method. That is kind of crazy, and I didn't think I would be saying that for a long time. I will add a little bit of a kind of addendum to this. The Spellement drop rate from Loremaster right now is actually incredibly low, and by incredibly low I mean very, very low, to the point where it's probably going to be changed in the near future. If not, it definitely will take a long time. Now, the reason why this has been changed and why it's different is the fact that Loremaster has a chance to drop a Spellament. The problem is with how they revamped the Spellament drops is they no longer drop in bundles. You no longer get anywhere from 1 to 30 Spellements. You can only get 1 as far as I've seen. I haven't seen it so that it's dropped multiple. I've seen it so that you get multiple drops of the same Spellament, but they're only in kind of increments of 1, right? It's not anything like the old system where you could potentially get 30 Spellements from one battle. The problem with this is that Loremaster has about 15 spells that are Spellament spells, and you can only get, as far as I can see, 1 of the Spellament drops per battle at maximum. I did about 10 Loremaster runs and I only got, again, 1 per battle. Some battles I didn't even get any. This will probably be changed in the future, but either way, I just wanted to say you can get Ship of Fools now completely free to play. You can also get Spiritual Tribunal free to play if you want it, Celestial Intervention, and obviously whatever the fire one is. I forget what it's called. Nautilus Unleashed, that's what it's called. But the point is, it's pretty good. It's probably going to be changed, but all you death players, congratulations. That's it for this little kind of not rant, this little tangent that I went on about the new Loremaster spells. Let's get into the video and how to acquire Spellements, as I'm sure you want to know. So this is a dev diary by Cam and Artie. So pretty cool. Let's get into it. Hello Wizards, we are writing today to give an update on the progress we made with the Spellement system as it currently stands in the spring update. To learn more about our overall direction, check out our previous notes on Spellements. I believe I actually did this in a video probably about 2 months ago now. In that diary, when Artie said that the revisions into the Spellement system were a long-term project, he meant long. This is not a one-time update, but closer to a 2-year project. We revisited the design in fall, and this spring update is just step 1. There's still much more to come. That's good to see. I am glad that they're going to be working on it. In this dev diary, we're going to be discussing the first main category of Spellements, World Spellements. World Spellements are the main progression Spellements which players acquire first, learning the spells through the story. They then get the chance to upgrade them through their normal gameplay experience. With World Spellements, it's important that all methods of acquiring them be closely tied to the world they come from so that players can quickly learn where to get them in a way that makes sense. We decided to work on World Spellements for Arc 1 over the next few updates. We plan to support several different sources of World Spellements, and we will begin developing them in the coming updates. Now let's get into the sources that are developed today, which are the ones that have been recently released in the spring update. First off, we have world bosses. The first source of world Spellements is from the major bosses in each world, beginning with Krakatopia. This source is made for those who are at the appropriate level for the content. Spellements will be found on bosses at the end of each area in the world, and the bosses have a 100% chance of giving you Spellements, so that's the best way to know if you're in the right place. Bosses will be dropping Spellements from their triad, elemental or spiritual, and balanced Spellements drop from all. The elemental triad includes storm, fire, and ice schools, the spiritual, myth, death, life. Bosses drop a variety of spellements from the worlds you're in and several of the worlds you previously completed as you progress through the storyline. In this update, we focus on Arc 1 spellements, and this is how they'll be distributed. So in the world of Wizard City, you can see drop 1 Wizard City 2, drop 2 Wizard City 1. I don't know exactly why that's phrased like that. That's kind of strange. All right, so I got all the way through my recording, edited, got up to this point, and then I realized I just completely misunderstood what all of this meant. I don't know why my brain saw Wizard City 2 and Wizard City 1 and didn't assume that meant the pip cost. I'm just kind of really strange and really dumb. So what this is that World Wizard City will drop the Wizard City 2 pip spell and the Wizard City 1 pip spell. Krokotopia will drop the Krokotopia spell, which is the tier 3 spell. Wizard City 2, Wizard City 1. Marleybone will drop the tier 4, tier 3, tier 2, and tier 1. Mushu will drop 5 downwards, and then Dragonspire will drop 6 downwards. I don't know why I misunderstood this so bad when it came to how this worked, but I just did for some reason. I was like, what does even Wizard City 2 mean? And then I spoke for like 2 minutes on it. I don't know. I just have a small brain. Maybe I'm tired. Whatever. Let's continue on with the video. Real quick, I want to pull up this little chart that's made by the Amaplex, which is a really good chart that lists some of the bosses that can actually drop these spells. So how this works is you can obviously see the spiritual schools, death, life, myth. You can see the elemental schools, storm, fire, ice, and then balance, which is a chance of dropping from all elemental and spiritual tables. So you can see there's only 3 bosses that do this: the Plague-Oni, Xanax, as I like to call him, and the Collector. So Xanax here is probably going to be farmed a lot more than most other bosses because he can drop potentially every single spell element that you can currently get from the first Arc 1 worlds, as far as I know, which is actually a really cool thing and definitely a really good thing. But as for these other bosses, I'm not going to obviously list all of them because there's a lot of them, but you can see basically it's just generally the most major boss in each area of the game. So pretty cool, and I think this is a really good idea. And while I do still think the spell drop rate is a bit low, it still takes hours to kind of grind up those spellements, and it's not going to be a natural progression. I would say they're definitely on a much better track than they were even earlier when the first spring update was released, when you were getting maybe 1 spellement drop every other battle or something like that. So I'm glad it's been adjusted, and it definitely seems to be in a better direction and the best direction we've seen spellements in so far. All right, moving back on. For Wizard City through Marleybone, we filled the blank slots with valuable treasure cards that you can use while on your way to upgrading your spellements. To ensure that world spellements are only available to level appropriate wizards, these bosses are badge restricted. So what that means is the second, say, you get the Marleybone badge of Mastermind, which is defeat Meowiarty, it turns out you can't actually get the drops from the previous worlds. So for example, as I said, Mastermind, the second you get that badge, you can't use the Krokotopia bosses to farm anymore. To get a spellment dropped in a world, you must have completed the previous world, and you need to have not completed the next world. For example, to get spellments from Marleybone, you must have completed Krokotopia, and you must not have yet completed Mushu. So this gives you a kind of vast array to farm for those spellments. It's no secret that a high-level player would be much quicker at farming low-level bosses, so to preserve the value of spellments across all levels, these bosses are reserved for level-appropriate wizards. High-level wizards will have combat sources for lower-level spellments. We will touch on that below under future sources. In terms of these other talents, and these are kind of the more minor ways to get them, or the ways the higher levels can actually get them, we have pet retriever talents. Wizards of all levels can use special retriever pet talents to send your pet to fetch contents of wooden chests. Once again, to hunt for specific spellements, you want to use your retriever pet in the appropriate world. There are 2 types of this talent: the elemental retriever and the spiritual retriever. You can find balanced spellements using either talent. All levels of wizards can use this method. To unlock this talent on your pet, you'll need special tokens that can currently only be found on the Doomsday Croc, Great Train Robbery, or Unforgiven Dead Gauntlets. So currently you can't really get them, but you can go to the hatching kiosk to get pets with that talent. So it's not impossible to get the talent as is. You can get it from other people who have it. Probably not that difficult to get, and it's definitely a source of spellements to keep in mind. Next up, we have cantrip chests. While exploring Marleybone, Mushu, and Dragonspire, you may run across a cantrip ritual chest. Use cantrip magic touch along with 2 of your friends. You can open these chests and get spellements for everyone who has helped unlock the chest. Unfortunately, I don't have friends, and I'm sure many of you don't because you're playing Wizard 101. I'm sorry, that was a little bit rude. I didn't mean that. You probably might have friends. If you don't have friends, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it, probably. Anyways, to get magic touch, you must complete the cantrips 102 quest from Hampshire Buttersfield in Wisteria. Cantrip ritual chests are more specialized than the previous 2 methods, as they will only drop spellements specific to the world you find them in. This could be the best way to farm if you're going for specific spellement. So obviously, if you're going for Dragonspire, you're going to be getting tier 5, tier 6. If you're going in Mushu, you're probably going to be getting maybe actually it's tier 5 for Mushu. Marleybone is obviously tier 4, tier 3, whatever is Krokotopia, and so on and so forth. You can't get them in Krokotopia. I don't know why I said that. Silver chests. From Krokotopia to Dragonspire, spellements may also drop from silver chests that you complete. Once again, these spellements are specific to worlds you find the chest in. So pretty cool. These are kind of the other ways to get them beyond actually farming them in battle. I'm glad that there are actually ways to get spellements, and I think that this is pretty good so far. It's good as a start. Keep in mind that this will be changed later. Now let's go into the future sources, because obviously this is just as important. We need to know where we're potentially going to get spellements in the future, because currently we only have this. It's going to be more in the future. First off, boss rematches. Possibly the most exciting of the bunch, we have plans to introduce new combats where you can gather your friends to experience a rematch with the main villains of each world. This will be done with a special housing item that you'll be able to craft once you complete Dragonspire. These items must be recharged after each use. Right now, we're planning to cover each of the Arc 1 worlds featuring a boss rematch against the final boss from each world. There will be several versions of each new boss depending on the player's level, and you will always have to farm the boss appropriate to your level to get spellements. So it kind of sounds like the Exalted Duels. Exalted Duels is what I'm looking for. It sounds like those, but revamped to be changed a little bit and kind of adjusted to the new spellement system, which I find to be really cool and actually an interesting idea. It seems like it will be from crafting. As it says, you can craft them, so we'll have to see how that works. Next up, we have questing. As part of our goal to make world spellements an integral part of Wizard's progression, we plan to add spellements as quest rewards for Arc 1. This will take place in a future milestone. I hope they add the retroactive for completing the quest, but if they don't, I understand that might be a little bit difficult. But basically, this will obviously be from a quest, which I think is probably going to be the best and most interesting way to get spellements and what it should currently be. I hope that they focus on adding this now, and again, I do really hope this is retroactive, but we'll have to see. Finally, we have fishing. This one is probably the furthest away, but we were really excited about the possibility of getting spellements through fishing. I know a bunch of you fishing enthusiasts out there, can't wait to see this included. I actually am not a fishing enthusiast, but I think this is a pretty cool change as well. For frequent update on our various dev initiatives, please follow us on Twitter. Thanks community, Cam and Artie. Thank you for the wonderful dev diary. So now that I've read this, let me wrap this up with my thoughts on spellements and the new spellement update and what I just think about all of these changes. I think that obviously there was a little bit of a hiccup with how they first implemented it. Obviously, everyone was confused, myself included, and we were like, this is literally no different than the last spellement system. It's still impossible to get. I don't know exactly why this wasn't fixed in test realm, but it wasn't. And then once it went to live realm, we were all a little bit concerned. Obviously, they changed this pretty fast, which good on you, KingsL, for doing that. Basically, if you didn't know, when I first did Krokotopia, I did the entire thing on a brand new wizard. I got a total of 5 spellements, only 2 of them from my school throughout the entire world. Obviously, they changed this, so now I got many more, probably about 50 to 80 spellements on a wizard that I just farmed Biddy Narini on for about an hour, which is definitely a massive change, which is actually a really good change, which is pretty cool. I think the fact that Ship of Fools and other spells are now on Loremaster is really good. I know that in the future they plan on moving them off of Loremaster and onto other bosses. I think that that would be a really good change, and I'm excited to see that as well. Overall, I think that this system is really good, and this is so much a step in the right direction. If you don't think this is a step in the right direction, I don't know what you're thinking. You need to put into perspective right now how much has been changed just from this, right? Old spellements, first off, they weren't even that good in terms of the upgrades that they gave. Second off, they were only gotten from skeleton key bosses or crowns, which is really 2 awful ways to actually get them. And 3, the only players that had spellements were either rich players or rich players. I was going to go for an or, but no, it was just people who are rich and have the time to spend money. This is not good for the old Spellement system, but now anyone can get Spellements. Literally anyone can get Spellements. Just do quests, do a world, it's possible. In the future, they're planning on adding more. This is only step one of the process, and realistically, it's just a lot better now. It's a lot less pay to win. I think the most pay to win aspect of this game was Ship of Fools, and that has since been changed, which is just nice to see. I'm really happy, and overall, I'd say this update is actually an A+ for me. So that's my overview of Spellements. I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments below. I am very interested. Do you like the new changes? Do you dislike the new changes? If you dislike it, why? I personally really like it, and I like to hear some conversing opinions. But otherwise, that is it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.